Hi, everyone. Welcome to YLC Chats. My name is Kelly, and I am a first year member of YLC. And I'm here today with the Best Buddy staff member, Nicole. Nicole, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me today. And it's always awesome to work with our YLC. So I'm always happy to do anything. I work for our Best Buddies in Virginia and DC office, and I am a program manager of community engagement. Um, yeah, I've been a part of Best Buddies for 10 or so years and just stepped into this role last year. So very exciting.
Perfect. And how did you become involved with Best Buddies?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I kind of have to track it back way far. But when I was in middle school, I was very close and friends with a lot of people with IDD. And sort of at that age, I don't even know that I really understood the difference. And I didn't really understand much, but I know that I loved hanging out and going to lunches and was invited by the special education advisors at my school, always like into the classroom and things like that. So naturally, when some high schoolers came and talked about Best Buddies, I was really, really excited because that kind of sounded like something I was already doing. So I wanted to bring it into middle schools. At that point, it was not in middle schools. We didn't have any programming there, but they were sort of in the I think it was sort of in the works. So anyways, I graduated middle school, and then in high school there was a chapter and I was just all in, ready to go. So and like got involved my freshman year and have been involved ever since. Was president of my high school, was president of Virginia Tech's chapter, and then now I'm a staff member, and I get to work with students from both of the schools that I was president at, which is really special. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question in a pretty
Uh,
roundabout way.
it's super cool that you help support the chapters you are part of. And
Yeah,
then
it's
what
super special.
specifically do you do as a program manager?
Yeah, so I'm one of two, hopefully soon to be three program managers in our state, and then we have a program supervisor. So my role as program manager of community engagement is really to work with our school chapters. So I oversee about 93 school chapters with some help at times, definitely from an awesome programs team. And then so I'm helping them like answer questions. I'm getting chapter presidents in. I'm overseeing what sort of events they're having. I'm helping them fundraise. I'm helping them with different ideas and events, and just always getting together and being support for them. And then I'm super lucky to work with our ambassador program. So I work with our ambassadors in Virginia and DC to work on speeches and kind of giving them the tools they need to be advocates for people with IDD, for themselves and the community. So those are my two main roles. But something about Best Buddies that is great in so many ways is we're always lending a hand in many, many different ways and helping out each other. And people are helping out me, and I'm always lending a hand to other parts of the job and pillars of our program.
Yeah, I'm a chapter president in Washington State, so I can say that the program managers are really important.
Well, that's good, and we love to do it. And I think working with our students is probably the best part of the job. And it's one of those things where you actually see kind of what you're doing and the hours you're spending and
Yeah.
events you're planning and people you're reaching out to, all paying off when you hear like really awesome events from our student leaders and things like that.
Yeah, that leads into my next question of what is your favorite thing about Best Buddies?
Okay. So can I answer it with my favorite thing about Best Buddies, like from a being in a program standpoint and then
Sure.
from also working?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm currently a part of our citizens program, so I kind of just do that independently, although it ties in. And I would say one of the coolest things about being in a one-to-one friendship with Best Buddies is just always learning and always having someone to do fun events in. I live in DC. There's so many fun things happening. Um, and sometimes I think when we're with all of our friends and stuff, things get so claustrophobic and we have chaos and we have all these things to do. But something that I've really liked about even though it doesn't end up being like structure because you just want to do it, but about being in a friendship with a buddy is that I am constantly making interesting plans and sometimes doing things that I would never think to do, but we do together and it ends up being super fun. And both my buddies, one from high school, his birthday is in, both of them are in January, my high school and college buddy. So I just got to celebrate both of their birthdays. Fortunately, I couldn't be with them, but it was awesome to hop on a phone call with them and just kind of reflect on 10 and 6 years of friendship and send them a little gift and things. So they're very long lasting friendships, in my opinion. So I guess that's my personal story. And then from a professional staff standpoint, I would say the best thing about my job is one, I, as a program manager, we're super hands-on, like I kind of mentioned earlier. So we're always like, we get to work like face to face with our chapter leaders. And I'm so lucky to develop like so many relationships, and either sometimes I feel like I can even help mentor a little bit students and kind of provide them like when I was in your shoes, even though I'm sure they get tired of hearing that. But it's really great to have that experience bring that into my job, because I feel like I can kind of understand what students are going through and how stressful it can be with finals and planning meetings and having someone not respond to you and all of these things. And then our ambassadors are so amazing, and I feel so lucky that I get to work with them and help them like write speeches on why they love Best Buddies and what those like ever changing moments in their life related to Best Buddies are. So I feel really, really lucky in that way.
Yeah. And why do you think the Best Buddies mission is so important?
I think the Best Buddies mission is definitely important because without it, I think, especially in like school age kids, like everyone just kind of wants to have a friend and something. And I think a community, and sometimes we talk about these one-to-one friendships and we forget that it also creates a community. And I think that's really something special and beautiful. And it's such a non-judgmental community of people coming together. And when I was in high school, I felt that way. I felt that I was just 100% myself. I felt that it allowed other people to be 100% their self, people with and without disability. And so that's one of the great things about it. And that mission spreads like wildfire. And I think as soon as you're surrounded by that energy and that acceptance, anyone in your orbit is really affected by that kind of positivity. And we kind of always have someone to lean on. And I think that's been really important during COVID, and finding ways to kind of make the programs work through a computer.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like our Best Buddy chapters are so special because it's not like a sports team where everyone there has like all does like the same sport. It's like you have athletes, you have like musicians, you have like everyone. So it's very unique.
Yeah, super unique. And I think everyone's really honored for their like talent and their uniqueness, as opposed to like all trying to fit one mold. We always have like someone who's singing, someone who's doing art, someone who loves to bake, and we try to, bring those into all of our events and make sure that it's kind of something where everyone finds what they're looking for when they come.
Yeah. And how have you stayed connected with the Best Buddies community over the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was overseas for some of the pandemic, so it was really interesting to try to navigate that as everyone was learning what seems so easy now, like you sending me the Zoom link to join you and figuring out time zones and all of that. So it was definitely challenging at first, and I think it really was for a lot of our participants, and a lot of my ambassadors that I work with like talk about it being the same for them when we didn't know how we were going to have that meeting. And now we have so many awesome things in place to make sure that we always are prepared for anything, and also include a lot more people and have such a wider like reach, because we can just hop on this call and are you in Washington and I'm in the Washington, D.C. So, we're all over. But yeah, I was overseas, and I think that was one thing I really noticed was there at the beginning. It was kind of hard because there was not really a way for me to stay engaged. I wasn't a staff at that point. And then my younger sister actually was a president after me at the college I went to, and she had been reached out to my previous supervisor at Best Buddies and was like, "Do you want to do this role?" And my sister already had a job, and she was like, "My sister might." So then I found the role and kind of got re-engaged that way. But because of my family being involved in Best Buddies too, I've kind of always stayed a part of the Yorktown, the high school I went to, and Virginia Tech, the college I went to's community. And it's just fun. I mean, just Facebook, it's like whatever it is, it's just fun to stay in touch and kind of always have someone positive from that community to share wins with, share, just little things like, oh, today, my dog did this, or it's just really, really fun. So
Yeah.
that was sort of answering your question, but I think basically it was pretty challenging at first, and I think we've really come around to it. And from like overview of my students, I think they've also gotten so good at like planning and having a backup plan and making sure that everyone's needs are met, because like there's different sorts of events now. Like I think when I was in high school, events used to just be like chapter events where it was like one activity, but because we've kind of broken up into smaller groups and kind of developed more meaningful connections, maybe we end up having some people baking and some people making a card. Or I've seen the students really kind of thrive, honestly. And I think it did take an adjustment, but I've really seen students thrive and get so creative with how they kind of spread our mission and share it.
Yeah. And what are some of your goals for Best Buddies in the future?
Hmm. I think something that is really important to talk about on a little bit more serious of a note is sort of healthy relationships, and understanding that all of our students going through that are going like in a high school, college phase, are going through so many changes. And a big part of that is learning how to navigate relationships, whether that be friendships, whether that be romantic relationships. And something I would really like to see is more work and more things that we can provide our students on to how to navigate that. As a student leader, setting boundaries can be really hard. Learning how to like just navigate like all these growing students and young people, and to become like really successful adults. So I think working in the relationship space, like not even just romantic, friendship, relationship, and kind of how those healthy relationships work is really great and would be really important moving forward. And I also think I would love to see the Best Buddies community sort of grow out of our pockets and become even more volunteer based. Not to say that wouldn't be awesome to have staff everywhere, but I work in a state that's quite big, and to get to some of my schools is about 4 hours for me. So kind of build up those communities to, like some of our schools do, a lot of the time run pretty fairly like safely on their own without any of my, like I'll help, but they do a lot on their own. So just
Yeah.
getting to that point, I think would be really great. But I think our living pillar is really exciting, which we're starting inclusive living, and that's here in DC, and it just opened in Miami. And I think expanding that and making that also more financially accessible is a huge part of like the next step in providing students after high school, after college, whatever that is, with like another opportunity to kind of stay in an inclusive community and environment.
Definitely. I love the healthy relationship thing. I've never heard that before, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, thanks. We got a grant here in Virginia to work on it. So we've had some programming on it and it's been really successful. But I just think spreading that beyond me teaching it or one of my colleagues teaching it to having students really understand it would be a huge next step for Best Buddies.
Yeah, I love that. And you were saying before how you originally started being a heard of Best Buddies back in middle school. So, what advice do you have for people to stay involved in Best Buddies throughout your life?
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone, and I think I kind of forgot after I graduated high or university that there was ways to get involved that weren't 100% a time commitment, like smaller ways, such as being a speech coach at one of my ambassador trainings where you just come, it's a one and done commitment, 2 hours on Zoom, super easy, but super fun and super great. And just to kind of stay up to date with people, I think like the more you stay, like I was lucky enough that my sister stayed up to date with best buddies and she was able to like lead me in the direction of this job, but just
Yeah.
kind of extend on that and keep those connections. And I think passing it down to like younger people, that's the biggest piece of advice I have for our students and our student leaders is like, you might be the best president. And if you want to be president for 4 years or however long you can, that's great. But let's like spread that and let's keep the like wheels going and let's have, a senior step or someone that's going to be a senior step down and let a junior do the role, but still be a part of the program and mentor that junior to know how things run so that our programs keep running smoothly regardless of the amazing individuals that lead it, but it can be any amazing individual and it's not super based on one. But then I guess to keep it in your life is kind of just to always be embodying it, always be thinking about it. I think when I was in middle school, spread the word became really big. And I think always talking about it and keeping in the back of your mind that like not everyone has had best buddies and not everyone is as educated or as aware of like what our mission is. So some people might say something wrong or not be 100% comfortable with our mission, but it's kind of our job as the part of the community to at least provide them with information and like kind of bring them into it and show them how great and positive it can be. So hopefully that also answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Well, that was my last question, but thank you so much, Nicole, for talking to me. And thank you to everyone who watched. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.